that the hatred for the liberal class is deserved. Because the liberal class, and especially the sort of progressive wing of the Democratic Party, did traditionally watch out for the interests of the working class. And for money, for corporate money, they sold workers out. And, of course, now the middle class. And so you can watch it with Obama. I mean, if you look at the Obama administration, there is, on any substantial issue, virtually no difference from an administration run by John McCain. I mean, the tragedy for me of the Obama administration is that the Democrats, once they took power, essentially codified the destruction of domestic and international law that had been carried out by the Bush administration. The Democrats couldn't even find it within themselves to restore habeas corpus. I was part of the ACLU lawsuit against the government for the FISA Reform Act. The FISA Reform Act was pushed through Congress to essentially make legal retroactively what was illegal. And that was the warrantless wiretapping and eavesdropping, as well as storage of email, phone messages of tens of millions of Americans. We had 30 cases working our way up through the lower courts against Verizon and AT&T for turning this information over to the government in direct violation of our constitutional rights. And those cases would have won. And those telecommunication companies knew it. And so what did they do? They went to Washington with millions of dollars, much of which they handed off to Democratic congressmen, including Senator, at the time, Senator Obama. And Obama, although during the campaign had promised that he would filibuster the FISA Reform Act, went and voted for it. The continuation of our doomed imperial project in Iraq, the escalation of the war in Afghanistan, which you don't hear this from the New York Times, we're losing, and we're losing the war badly. The looting of the U.S. Treasury on the behalf of Wall Street. All of this was begun by the Bush administration, but continued and embraced by the Obama administration, by the Democratic Party. And I think if there's probably no better example of how utterly bankrupt our liberal establishment has become than by looking at everything the Obama administration has carried out, including abandoning a commitment to protect a woman's right to choose, including abandonment of a public option. The so-called health care reform bill is essentially just the equivalent to the for-profit pharmaceutical and insurance industry of the bank bailout bill. $400 billion in subsidies. They can still raise co-payments and premiums. They're getting all sorts of exemptions because companies like Aetna don't want to be forced to provide medical coverage to sick children. It's legally permitted now in this country for-profit insurance companies to hold sick children hostage while their parents frantically bankrupt themselves to try and save their sons or daughters. Any honest discussion of health care would acknowledge the fact that our for-profit health care system is the problem and must be destroyed. But that will never happen. It won't happen because the industry's money and lobbyists drive the discussion, both on the airwaves with the courtiers who function as pundits and analysts, as well as within the political process itself, which is why you had Dennis Kucinich during the Democratic primary standing literally in a snowbank in New Hampshire because he would not be invited into the room. The for-profit healthcare companies actually sponsored the debate in Iowa, which of course they were not going to give a figure like Kucinich, and much less Ralph Nader, a position. These kinds of critiques, and frankly this kind of truth was something that corporations and the corporate media consciously locked out of the debate. And the liberal class was complicitous, completely complicitous. The danger when a liberal class breaks down is that there becomes no mechanism anymore by which mounting rage and anger can be expressed within the system. And it's fascinating to go back and read Dostoevsky. The end of the 19th century, Dostoevsky watched a similar breakdown in Russia's liberal class. Notes from Underground is about the defeated dreamer, the cynical liberal, the person who voted for Obama and had so much hope, and the hope wasn't delivered, and so they retreat into this narcissistic, self-centered, bitter room underground, Mouseman. That's what Demons is about. And Dostoevsky argues that when the liberal class collapses, when the pillars of the liberal establishment no longer function, you enter an age of moral nihilism. He presciently foresaw the inevitable result of a system that didn't work. And that's where we are. Our system doesn't work. And it doesn't work ultimately not because of Sarah Palin or the Christian right or Glenn Beck. It doesn't work because the liberal class failed us. The liberal class failed to find the intellectual and moral fortitude to defend liberal values at a time that they were under egregious assault.